A very good evening. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge, and this is GBS News at 9, coming to you live from Kenya's capital, Nairobi. Stay tuned as we bring you the latest updates on stories making headlines tonight. To begin our bulletin, the controversial finance bill debate was today moved back to the floor of the National Assembly for the second reading by the Finance Committee Chairperson Kimani Kuria. The moving of the bill ushered in a heated debate, with parliamentarians making their submissions while debating on the major issues that affect common Kenyans with facts. But at some point, some members of the National Assembly faced it rough when they were asked to substantiate their submissions, but failed due to what other parliamentarians referred to such submissions as gossip peddled on social media, as our very own Davis Karani now reports.
Kenyans took to the street and aired their voices to their representatives in the National Assembly, urging them to reject the finance bill, which its debate in the National Assembly commenced this morning by the Finance Bill Committee Chairman Kimani Kuria, moving it to be read the second time in the National Assembly.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Finance Bill of 2024 be now read a second time.
The debate of the bill kicked off and parliamentarians started making their submissions, but on the contrary, other parliamentarians faced it rough when they couldn't substantiate their submissions, a move that caught the attention and raised eyebrows from parliamentarians as some cornered them fully.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker, nimesikia rafiki yangu Mheshimiwa mbunge wa Mombasa akisema kwamba kuna kodi ambayo imewekwa kwa wagonjwa wa saratani. Ningetaka kwamba nieleze ni kipengele kipi katika huu mswada ambao unaongea kuhusu hiyo, kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Speaker, haya mambo ya kumisinform ama kuwadanganya wa Kenya kwa mambo kama hayo kwa sababu ya siasa kabisa ni makosa, haifai kufanyika.
Mama Zamzam, that is a fair challenge. That's a fair challenge. Can you point out which
Ngoja nipe nafasi Mheshimiwa Speaker, nitaiangalia kisha kipengee mahali kiko, lakini kiko Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Kimani Ichung'wah stood firm and defended the bill, stating that the bill addresses the issues of state capture, saying that the demonstrations experienced in the nation yesterday, staged against the finance bill, was due to the mobilization from the civil society group benefiting from the former state capture group.
This bill, Honorable Speaker, is addressing the loopholes that bedevil our country through people who are well connected, who use the system to beat the tax system, Honorable Speaker, exploiting tax refunds to make bigger profits for their companies, Honorable Speaker.
The voting of the bill will be done tomorrow after the third reading, and if it passes, then it will be submitted to the Senate for further discussions. Davis Karani, GBS News, Nairobi.
Strong political parties are the foundation of national unity and strong democratic governance. To consolidate their role in democracy, political parties must cease being mere election vehicles and become a rallying point for the national cohesion and transformation. President Ruto made the remarks today at State House, Nairobi, where he held talks with Amani National Congress leaders, including party leader Issa Timami, the Lamu Governor, Secretary General Omboko Milemba, Higher Member of Parliament, and National Chairman Kevin Lunani, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, UDA Chairperson Cecily Mbarire, UDA Secretary General Cleophas Malala, National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, among others, were present.
Merge with your party. The conversation today is therefore within our party laws. I have no doubt in my mind that this idea is one whose time has come. In politics and governance, the overriding objective of participating in politics, whether as individual politicians or as political parties, is to win and form government. This is what the proposed merger of our parties must seek. When we work together, we become stronger. We then succeed in enabling an effective and stronger government and a better governance ecosystem for Kenya.
You are an important part of the KK family. You are not even a part. You are really KK family. And so the decision you're making today and the journey we are starting today is a journey that takes courage, musiuziwe uoga tena, and a journey that will put us in power beyond President William Ruto. So please, let us move this together. And what I can promise you from where I stand as a chair of UDA is, Your Excellency, we are ready to sit.
After my moment of meditation, where is the best place for me to work in consolidation and direct ANC to? I am satisfied that with President William Ruto, you are in safe hands. The safe pair of hands that have been referred to by the party leader. The alternative would have been to be quiet and to let you go in wilderness.
A stronger party will help us deal with the challenge of ethnicity, will create a bigger, united, more representative formation that brings the aspirations of more Kenyans into an organization that will help us drive Kenya into the future. So, you people have made the same way you made the right decision in the handshake, in the earthquake in Bomas, is the same way you are making this decision again. Ningesema, najua when Musalia made the decision to work with us, and when ANC made the decision to work with UDA, many people were not sure whether that was the right decision. But it was the right decision, because we formed the government. I want to tell you, if any one of you here doubts whether this is the right decision, I want to tell you, this is the right decision. Because we will have a stronger party. And we will have a stronger Kenya going into the future. It was difficult in Bomas. It may be challenging today, but I want to tell you, it is easier for us to make this decision now because we have a history of what happened in Bomas.
Today, the regular functioning of Cheptai Sub-County Hospital in Mount Elgon constituency was abruptly halted as hospital staff protested the non-payment of salaries spanning 9 months. The unexpected disruption has left patients and visitors stranded, shining a harsh light on the persistent challenges confronting essential healthcare workers. Here are the details. Normal operations at the Cheptai East Sub-County Hospital in Mount Elgon constituency came to a temporary halt today as hospital staff protested non-payment of salaries spanning 9 months. The abrupt disruption left patients and visitors stranded, highlighting ongoing challenges faced by essential healthcare workers.
That we've worked without pay, but there are some pending salaries. For the year 2022, there is 1 month that was not paid, the month of February 2022. In the year 2023, the month of June and the month of October was not paid. So these amount to 9 months without salaries.
Residents expressed their dismay, citing the critical role of the hospital in providing vital medical services to the community.
Waamusha usiku wanaamuka na wanakusaidia. Uwezi kulia kwamba tuko na njaa, lakini kitu kibaya peke yake ni hawa kutukupokea vitu ambayo wanahitaji, ambayo inaweza kuwaendeleza katika maisha yao.
County officials have acknowledged the seriousness of the situation and assured stakeholders that efforts are underway to resolve the salary dispute promptly. They emphasized the importance of uninterrupted healthcare services and pledged to expedite the release of outstanding payments to hospital staff. As negotiations continue between the hospital management, healthcare workers and county authorities, residents of Mount Elgon constituency remain hopeful for a swift resolution. President William Ruto has announced the establishment of common user facilities to enhance value addition and branding in locally manufactured products, especially tea. Speaking on Wednesday at the launch of Chai Gold by Kenya Tea Packers and Kenya Tea Development Agency in Kericho County, the president said they have planned to stop Kenyan tea from being sold unprocessed by establishing CAF that will add value to it. At the same time, the government is also set to expand international markets. Here are the details.
Where?
We do it locally and exports.
And exports?
Yes, right.
President William Ruto has pledged to continue looking for international market for Kenyan tea and coffee exports. Speaking during the launch of Gold Tea in Kericho, the president said he's looking for markets in Switzerland, describing the country as the second largest market for importing Kenyan tea, and promising to further explore Korea, India and China.
Juzi, last week, nilikuwa kule Switzerland. Pia waliniambia, rais wa huko aliniambia, chai ya Kenya imeanza kupenetrate market. Hata niliona hapa kwa hesabu yenu, ni kwamba the tea you are exporting from here, number 2 market is Switzerland. And we have agreed with Switzerland, we are going to sign an agreement to expand the Kenyan market.
According to President Ruto, agriculture contributes 25% of country's GDP. Hence, the need to help farmers to increase their production by availing fertilizers for them.
Kama serikali, we are going to work with the tea sector. First, to enhance productivity through our injection of resources in fertilizer subsidy. Ya pili ni common user facility, ambayo itatusaidia kwa branding na itatusaidia kwa value addition.
The president said branded Kenyan tea has moved from 5% to 9%, and with the establishment of common user facilities, he hopes that it will move to 20% in the next 2 years. Hilary Kabila, GBS News.
Many thanks for joining this live broadcast. We have a lot lined up for you in our news segment tonight. But first, let us take a quick break. We'll be right back with even more.
So through the 4 gospel books, Matthew, Mark, and Luke, John, we can know the heart of Jesus in depth.
우리가 느끼는 그 예수님을 성경을 통해 느낄 수 있어서 너무 감사합니다.
And the Jesus that we can feel him through the scriptures, and I'm very thankful about that. Jesus Christ came to this earth for our sins. He carried our sins.
십자가에 못 박혀 죽어 죄의 형벌을 당하셨고,
and he was crucified, and he received the punishment for sins.
무덤에 들어가셨다가,
and he was put into the tomb.
사흘 만에 부활하셨습니다.
and resurrected in 3 days.
이것이 우리가 말하는 복음입니다.
This is the gospel that we speak.
예수님께 우리 죄를 위해 죽으신 이야기.
About how Jesus died for our sins. The purpose of Jesus being crucified.
우리 죄를 담당하기 위하여 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으셨습니다.
He was crucified to pay for our sins.
예수님 십자가에 못 박혀 죽으심으로 우리 죄가 분명히 씻어졌는데.
And through Jesus being crucified, clearly our sins have been washed clean.
참 안타깝게도 많은 사람은 여전히 죄인이라고 말합니다.
However, unfortunately, many people still say that they are sinners.
When you commit suicide, ushadisoniwa na mama yako. You are your only mother.
Who carried you 9 months and labored and gave birth to you. I'm telling you.
Naenda kudiscuss. Challenges zile single mothers wanapitia. You know, tunaonanga tu wakitembea wakicheka, but we don't know what they go through.
Sasa nilijifungua. Nilienda through a lot ndio nijifungue, but finally Mungu alinipea. I'm baby girl. I'm baby girl with albinism. Nilikuja kuona kabisa niko peke yangu. Ni penye saa unapigia ndio mambeste, hakuna mtu anakuchukulia simu. Na mimi nilikuwa na mambeste wengi. Mimi niliachiwa tu mmoja. Anaitwa Shkosheila. Akiona hivi ndio, thank you so much mama.
Thank you Shiko.
Akusangi enjoy.
Alisimama na mimi, huyu alisimama na mimi hadi
everywhere. GBS.
Welcome back. You're still watching GBS News 9. Teen pregnancies and child marriages have persistently obstructed girls' education in Kenya, with many forced to abandon their studies for marriage or due to early motherhood. In response, Kericho Woman Representative Beatrice Kemei has introduced a bill in the National Assembly aimed at protecting the educational rights of teen mothers. This proposed legislation is a direct counter to Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka's earlier controversial call to ban pregnant teens from resuming their studies, which he argued would promote responsibility. Amidst rising teenage pregnancy rates, Kemei's bill seeks to ensure that pregnant girls can return to school without facing mandatory tests or discrimination, underscoring a national effort to support adolescent girls' education and well-being. Susan Nganga with the full report.
Teenage pregnancies and child marriages have long hindered the education of many girls in Kenya. However, a new bill introduced by Kericho Woman Representative Beatrice Kemei in the National Assembly aims to change that. The bill seeks to protect the education rights of teen mothers. Ms. Kemei's bill proposes that pregnancy tests should not be mandatory for schoolgirls. If such tests are conducted, the decision to disclose the results to parents will lie with school principals. This should only be done if revealing the results does not endanger the girl's life. This bill follows an earlier call by Bungoma Governor Kenneth Lusaka to ban pregnant teens from continuing with their studies to address the crisis in his county. Lusaka argued that such a law will encourage the rest to be careful and responsible.
I think we are addressing the issue. It's real, and I'm sure we are going to get on top of it. I want to make a very radical proposal. I know it's controversial, where they have said girls get pregnant and then they should go back to school. You know, in the past, such things never used to be there. There must be a very punitive measure where you say if you get pregnant, you will not go back to school. That will be the end of your education. So that it acts as a deterrent for those who may be tempted to get in such things. Because in these days, you know, it's just like you go, get pregnant, go back to school and continue with your life. So I think we need to come up with, we need to relook at that. And of course, if those people are also going to say impregnate school children who are underage, I think the law is very clear. We also need to take punitive actions because the law is already there. We don't need to reinvent the wheel.
Last month, the Kenya Human Rights Commission indicted 20 counties and their governors for having the highest rates of teenage pregnancies. The commission also criticized Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha for not taking significant steps to address the teenage pregnancies crisis.
Kenya withdrew from the Eastern and Southern Africa ministerial commitment to comprehensive sexual education. The withdrawal signals the lack of commitment by the government to protect our girls from early and intended pregnancies and to enforce laws to stop this scourge.
The
governors, number 1 or top on the list is Nairobi's Johnson Sakaja. At number 11 is the Health CS Susan Nakumicha.
According to the 2022 Kenya Demographic and Health Survey, Nairobi had the highest numbers of pregnancies among girls aged 10 to 19, with 452 cases. Kakamega followed with 328 cases. HIV infection teenage pregnancies, and gender-based violence continue to dominate discussions in Kenya, significantly affecting adolescents. Kenya ranked third worldwide, with having the highest numbers of teenage pregnancies. Susan Nganga, GBS News.
Just days after being appointed the new Family Bank Board of Directors and Management Chairman, architect Francis Gitau Mungai has passed on while receiving treatment in the United States, the bank has announced. Gitau Mungai served the bank limited since 2016 and had been serving as the vice chairman for the last 2 years before his recent appointment as chairman. He chaired the board credit committee and the board human resource committee. He was a member of the nominations and governance committee and director of Pesapap Digital, a subsidiary of Family Bank Limited. Prior to joining the board, Mungai has supported both as a customer as an architect since 1996. According to the bank's board, the late made invaluable contributions to the growth of the bank, and he will be missed immensely by all those who had the pleasure of knowing him. A section of political lobbyists and locals from the Mount Kenya East have asked the government to curb corruption and wastage to ensure Kenyans get full value for their taxes. They say as much as the government wants to increase taxes to finance its spending, it should also reciprocate by ensuring there is effective utilization of funds collected from Kenyans through taxation. Meanwhile, Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, His Excellency Dr. Musalia Mudavadi, presided over the site handover ceremony for Tanzania's future Chancery and Investment Building in Nairobi. The event marked a significant step in reinforcing the already strong diplomatic and economic ties between Kenya and Tanzania. Here is Tabitha Nyarinda with the details.
1, 2, 3. This landmark investment underscores the deep-rooted partnership between Kenya and Tanzania, fostering economic growth and regional integration. The new Chancery and Investment Building in Nairobi stands as a testament to the shared vision of prosperity and cooperation between the two nations. Titled it,
Tanzania remains a strategic, in fact, a key strategic partner for Kenya in many areas, and in particular trade, security, education, and agriculture, amongst others. It is incumbent upon us, therefore, to continue deepening and strengthening these areas of cooperation for the common good of our people and our countries.
We are here to make a very bold statement as a country that we want to be in Nairobi, we want to be in Kenya, and we want to be here for good. And we see this country as a safe place to be, a safe place to invest. We are communicating to the world that Tanzania and Kenya are not just neighbors. We are more than neighbors.
The event was attended by Tanzanian Minister for Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Honorable January Makamba, and Kenyan Cabinet Secretaries Penina Malonza for East African Community, Arid and Semi-Arid Lands and Regional Development, and Rebecca Miano for Investment, Trade and Industry. Meanwhile, a section of political lobbyists and locals from Mount Kenya East have called upon the government to crack down on corruption and ensure that taxpayers' money is used efficiently.
This is what we are saying here from Mount Kenya East. We are committed to paying taxes. Mr. President, we've got your back. We support you. We will support you to the end. Our concern is one. Hii pesa ya taxes ukiokota, Mr. President, you must commit to us that none of your politicians is going to get away with it.
Wakati mwingine ingekuwa hata wananchi wauzishwe, watoe mahoni, lakini vitu vingine hata mwananchi anaweza rushiwa, unaambiwa maneno, hata mwananchi hajaelewa ni kitu gani kinaendelea. Mwananchi tu sasa ni kitu gani sasa ataweza kupitisha ama kufinga. Sasa ni vitu gani wananchi kuna vitu vingine viongozi wetu wanafanya si mzuri.
They argue that while the government seeks to increase taxes to fund its operations, it must also ensure transparency and effective utilization of these funds. Elsewhere, residents of Kiunga village in the Mwea constituency in Kirinyaga County have taken to the streets in protest over prolonged power outages that have lasted for 5 months, demanding urgent action from Kenya Power and Lighting.
Na ningetaka kuwaambia wahusika wa stima ndio Kenya Power, alafu na mheshimiwa wetu anaitwa Mary Mainge waje wakaza. Kwa hivyo ndio tunamuuliza hata mheshimiwa Mary Mainge ambaye tunakuheshimu wewe tulikuchagua tukachaguliwa pamoja, ukishughulikia zile sehemu zingine za Mwea, tafadhali kumbuka hata hii sehemu zetu, kwa sababu jukumu ya hii maneno ya kuweka stima, kushughulikia stima, mnajua mlinyang'anya governor na MCA, sasa nyinyi ndio mko naye. Kama mmechukua hiyo jukumu, tafadhali fanyieni wananchi wetu kazi.
Residents expressed their concerns over the impact of the outage on daily life, citing security risks due to increased crime and economic setbacks due to the outage, amid reliance on alternative sources like paraffin and candles, which add on expenses. Tabitha Nyarinda, GBS News.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. That report brings us to our international news, but first let us take a quick commercial break.
Hello everyone! Hi guys, welcome again to yet another amazing episode of the Youth Hub, the show that gets you.
As unaamka asubuhi unapata na sufuria yako ngara juu. It's not easy. Imagine ilikuwa
no one person can fix this. Isipokuwa bedeni ule God mmoja tunaoshi atakuja kusaidia.
Enda hivi dona kaona niaje nyinyi abiria lakini kidogo bae.
Bae taeruke.
Kangwa.
Unaona sasa kuna abiria alikuwa hapo ndani akasema aanze kumwambia CSKL mkuu amesimpa ku.
The only person. Kuna
I think alikuwa very vulgar. Venye jamaa ndo yake kibebo. Kuna venye tu aliongea akamchekelea,
nilikwambia na usikii.
Ya pale hivyo isipe.
Yes. So weka simu chini.
Ni mauma nje.
There is no animal that produces.
Eko wala Google hapo. Hata kama flamingo ni
hiyo tunaenda kufanya homework.
Just to be clear. Napenda kuchallenge watu kama sasa nimenaji challenge mimi mwenyewe jisikii.
Saizi ni ile time CSKL mkuu ataswim paku.
Tasimpa.
Okay.
That is kind of joke swim.
Exactly.
Different kidogo lakini naona hiyo. Lakini inatoaje nini hapo?
Makes sense.
Kila mtu anaishi maisha on a different level. Au nyumba zao ni mabati. Sasa hiyo mabati pia inaenda ambao ishakuliwa na imeenda hiyo kitu hizi floods zikaisha inaweza kuwa grau moja safi tunaweka tena
sasa unapanda hadi mahindi
tunaweka
kuna floods zitaisha kuna mtu mahindi zinakuwa zinamea kwa nyumba juu kuna cereal shop ilioshwa mahindi maharagwe so na vote aisha mvune tu mahindi
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back to the broadcast. And now to matters international news. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in for a second term, emphasizing the importance of unity and cooperation in his inauguration speech. He praised the new government of national unity formed after the ANC lost its parliamentary majority in the May elections and vowed to represent all South Africans and defend democracy. Cyril Ramaphosa, leader of the African National Congress ANC, won against Julius Malema of the Economic Freedom Fighters, securing 283 votes compared to Malema's 44 in the 400-member parliament. In his closing remarks, Ramaphosa made a solemn commitment to represent all South Africans and defend democracy in the country.
We gather here as the people born of the same soil across our 9 provinces that make up our unitary South Africa, determined that by our deeds we shall heal the divisions of our past and overcome the ongoing inequalities and hardships of the present. 30 years have passed since we turned our back on racial tyranny and embraced an open and democratic society. We've made great strides in building a new society that is founded on strong democratic institutions and universal freedoms. Their will shall be done. Today I make a solemn commitment to be a president for all South Africans, not of some South Africans. To defend our Constitution and to protect our democracy. To work with all those who share the dream of a better life for all. To care for the poor, the vulnerable, and to support all those who are in need. And to make our country stronger, more resilient, more equal, and more united.
All beliefs. Dear Lord, bless the President and his government to govern the country. To be part of
Moving on, Russian President Vladimir Putin made a rare visit to North Korea, a visit to be concluded on Wednesday, where he was warmly welcomed by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at Pyongyang's airport. The visit, Putin first to North Korea in 24 years, aims to strengthen further ties between the two countries, both facing international isolation and seeking to challenge the United States-led global order. Here are the details.
Russian President Putin has made a rare foreign trip to North Korea, a visit aimed at strengthening ties with an old ally that supports Moscow's war in Ukraine. This marks Putin's second visit to the country, with the first being in 2000, where he met with Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father. Ahead of Putin's visit, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un praised the expanding ties between Moscow and Pyongyang, describing their relationship as unbreakable comrades in arms. The two countries are locked in separate confrontations with the United States, with Russia over its invasion of Ukraine and North Korea over its advancing nuclear program. Russia and North Korea have denied allegations of arms transfers, which will be a violation of multiple UN Security Council resolutions. However, South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik reported that North Korea had shipped about 7,000 containers filled with munitions and other military equipment to Russia. Russian officials have said that boosting defense ties between the two countries was discussed during Kim's visit to Russia in September, but they didn't disclose any specific steps. According to Professor Andrei Lankov of Kookmin University, Putin's recent trip to North Korea highlights the deepening relationship between Russia and North Korea, with a focus on strengthening trade and security ties. Putin's trip to North Korea marks a significant escalation in the relationship between the two countries, which could have far-reaching implications for global security. The deepening ties between Russia and North Korea undermine the security of Europe, Asia, and the US homeland. The implications of this visit are clear. Russia and North Korea are strengthening their alliance, and the world must be prepared for the consequences.
South Korea's military fired warning shots after North Korean soldiers crossed the military demarcation line in the border area between the two Koreans on Tuesday. The incident occurred when around 20 to 30 North Korean soldiers briefly crossed the line by about 20 meters, that is 65 feet, into the demilitarized zone before retreating north after the warning shots were fired by the South nation. Here is the full report.
The South Korea's military fired a warning shot after the North Korean soldiers crossed the military demarcation line in the border area between the two Koreas on Tuesday, according to the country's Joint Chief of Staff. Some 20 to 30 soldiers breached the line by 20 meters, which runs through the middle of the demilitarized zone on Tuesday morning, and briefly moved back north after warning shots were fired by South, according to a JCS official. North Korean soldiers also suffered multiple casualties while working due to the explosions on landmines in the DMZ, as JCS official told the press. The North Korea's military has been conducting various activities along the front line, including deploying soldiers and planting landmines since April, as JCS official added. Such activities appear to be part of the efforts to tighten border control and prevent North Korea from defecting to South. The South Korean military is closely attacking the activities of the North Korean military in the frontline areas, as well as working closely with the United Nations Command. The JCS released photos show a group of North Korean soldiers removing railway tracks along the railway lines connecting the two Koreas, as well as reinforcing tactical roads and planting landmines. The incident came as Russian President Vladimir Putin visited North Korea on Tuesday and Wednesday for the first time in 24 years, according to the two countries.
In a joint press conference in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg accused China, North Korea and Iran of exacerbating the conflict in Ukraine by providing military support to Russia. Blinken condemned China's alleged backing of Russia's action as contradictory to its professed aims for Ukraine's stability. The allegations highlight international tensions amidst ongoing crises in Ukraine and Gaza, prompting scrutiny of global alliances and security dynamics. Here is more on the same.
Blinken took aim at China for allegedly supporting Russia's military actions in Ukraine, while claiming to seek better relations with Europe.
And with regard to China in particular, as I've said before, it can't on the one hand say that it wants better relations with countries in Europe, while at the same time fueling the biggest security threat to Europe as a whole since the end of the Cold War. So if China in particular, which professes to have a strong interest in ending the war, if it really means it, it will stop fueling the war machine, and we'll continue to do everything we can to cut off the support that countries like Iran and North Korea are providing.
He also singled out North Korea and Iran, asserting that both nations have supplied munitions and weaponry to Russia, thereby intensifying the conflict. The accusations against North Korea included concerns over its missile and nuclear programs, echoing broader fears about global security implications. And regarding the Israel-Gaza situation, Blinken emphasized the urgency of preventing further escalation.
So the President's been very clear from day one that he will do everything he can to make sure that Israel has what it needs to effectively defend itself against these threats. And a big part of that as well is making sure that in providing that assistance to Israel, it has a strong deterrent, which is the best way to avoid more conflict, to avoid more war, to avoid what we're already seeing in Gaza spreading to other areas, to other fronts. That's been one of our objectives.
Secretary General Stoltenberg echoed Blinken's apprehensions, underscoring the interconnected challenges facing NATO in both Europe and Asia. He highlighted the necessity of strengthening NATO's partnership in the Asia-Pacific region to effectively confront global security threats.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre stated during a press conference in Washington, D.C. recently that the United States genuinely did not know what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was talking about when the leader claimed that the U.S. has been withholding weapons and ammunition to Tel Aviv. During Netanyahu's address, the Prime Minister also supposed that they received assurances from the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken administration that it was working day and night to remove the bottlenecks. Here are the details.
In May, President Joe Biden paused a shipment of high-payload munitions, concerned about a potential major Israel attack in southern Gaza, densely populated city of Rafah. This pause is the only confirmed instance of withheld shipment from the U.S. to Israel. Biden has criticized Netanyahu's approach to the war, citing civilian casualties and humanitarian aid blocks. During the press conference, Jean-Pierre also commented on Russian President Vladimir Putin's first visit to North Korea in over 20 years. Putin's official visit to Pyongyang, scheduled for June 18 to 19, come at Kim Jong-un's invitation. During the visit, they are set to discuss various topics, including the economy, energy, agriculture, trade, international relations, and security. This visit marked Putin's second trip to North Korea. His first was in 2000, when he met Kim Jong-un's father and predecessor, Kim Jong-il. Following his visit to Pyongyang, Putin will travel to Hanoi at invitation of Nguyen, Secretary General of the Vietnamese Communist Party Central Committee.
Iran held its first televised presidential debate on the 17th of June ahead of the 28th of June elections following the death of President Ebrahim Raisi. The 6 candidates, all handpicked by the Council of Guardians of the Constitution, discussed the country's economic problems, including inflation, the budget deficit, and ways to fight corruption. The debate centered on the economy, with candidates discussing their plans for the economic growth, stability, and infrastructure development. They also touched on the need for substantial investment, with estimates ranging from $200 to $250 billion. Here is the full report.
This was the first of 5 debates planned in the 10 days remaining before voting a shortened campaign to replace Raisi. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, that once floated as a possible successor to the 85-year-old cleric. Speaking about Iran's high inflation, Pezeshkian blamed the banks for printing money. It seems that the candidate is unaware that central bank prints money, not all the banks. According to Iran's constitution, the exclusive right of issuing the country's currency belongs to the Central Bank of the Islamic Republic of Iran. No bank in the country has the right to print banknotes. None of the candidates mentioned in the link between inflation and 2 factors of foreign sanctions, harmful government control over the economy. With less income from oil exports and inefficiencies resulting from government interference in the economy, the central bank is forced to print money, which inflation continued rise to a widening budget deficit, and the stability of the banking system dominated the final round of questioning. Candidates with links to late President Ebrahim Raisi sought to project that most of such problems were the legacy of the former administration under Hassan Rouhani.
Do keep your comments coming in through our SMS line 21144 and GBS TV Africa on all our social media handles. And now for sports lovers, it is time for your most anticipated part of the news, the sports news. Let's get sporty. Sofapaka played to a 1-1 draw with Nairobi City Stars on Wednesday, June 19th at the Dandora Stadium. Msanga Dairas gave the host a lead in the 30th minute, but just 4 minutes later, Abala Gilbert brought the City Stars back on level terms. At Homa Bay Stadium, Shabana continued their recent good form with another victory, this time against Bidco United. Ochieng Alvin ensured his team carried a lead into the halftime with his goal in the 47th minute. The second half saw Michira Brian extend the lead in the 60th minute and Kavuchi Layson sealed the win in the 80th minute. Elsewhere, FC Talanta secured a vital 3 points against champions Gor Mahia with a 4-2 victory in Machakos. Talanta's Emoni Alfred was crucial to his team's victory, scoring a hat-trick, while Boke Lucas also added the Talanta's tally with a goal. Gor Mahia's goals came from Austin Othiambo and Ochieng Benson. Additionally, Muhorani Youth boosted their chances of survival in the league with a 6-0 win against Zoia Sugar at Mumias Complex. The FKF Premier League season ends this weekend on Sunday, while Gor Mahia awaits their coronation as champions. The relegation race remains fiercely contested.
Kupenda nia aliyokuwa nao Henry Unyango, dangerous kweli. Thomas Mcheka na mengi. Kina Gideon Were pia alikuwa amenyanyuka, ambaye wewe ni nini? Nataka kumtega. Mwalimu Chokonda kula njano Thomas Chucha kwa alichokifanya. Alisema isiwe tabu, afunga wewe. Haisi. Kichwa kizuri chake Arthur Gitego. Licha ya sare kana sufuri, kila mmoja anaondoka na alama moja kutoka Dandora, lakini siku ya Jumapili ambayo ndio itakuwa raundi ya funga kazi, ndipo ambapo Kogalo, Sirkal, Gor Mahia watakuwa wanapewa rasmi.
And that sports news brings us to the end of our news segment tonight. Here at GBS News 9, we make your news our business. My name is Beatrice Njeri. Our sign language interpreter is Paul Mathenge. Good night.